If you missed it yesterday or over the weekend, women went to space, and whether you want to call it a distraction or an amazing opportunity for women, it was something. Something happened. I mean, there were some good parts and negative parts, but overall, it felt very offensive in a sense, like so out of touch. Like we are so suffering as it is. And then now they're like, hey, take a break and watch people go to space. And not just anyone, watch celebrities with status. So it's like, okay, cool. But also, is this really the time you want to do this? But also, some people need a distraction right now. But I want to talk about sort of like Katy Perry's reaction, some of the ways people are making fun of her, the way that these women did feel like they had sort of a spiritual awakening being up there. No wonder. It probably felt like you would feel on shrooms or something, like, oh my gosh, whoa, we really are just like little ants on a planet, right? Like totally. For real. Like for sure. Definitely 100%, right? Why did it feel so inappropriate for most of us watching? Because the world is suffering in a way that feels like we need some seriousness right now, and we're not getting it. I was even watching Jon Stewart today talking about Kilmar, and I just couldn't laugh along with him. And I know humor is very important to use, especially through politics. It also keeps the administration off your back a bit when you're like, it's a joke, it's a joke. But the truth is man, nothing right now feels like a joke. But the truth is that it just feels serious for us right now in our bubble, but it has been serious for other people in theirs for a really long time. And there will be a moment in time where it won't feel as serious, and we'll be laughing again, and it'll be funny, and then it will feel serious again, and then it'll be funny, and then it'll be serious again. And this is the cycle of humanity. History doesn't repeat itself. Humans repeat history. All of the life lessons our religions have given us, philosophy has given us, lore and storytelling has given us, we ignore time and time again. How many stories have warned us of a person like Trump? And how many people still can't admit that he's the villain in the story? So let's watch our second favorite villain, Jeff Bezos, convince us he's on our side as he shoots a bunch of celebrity women into space.
We're going to fill 5G, so 5 times the world. Parachutes will come out, they'll land safely.
Here it goes.
This is clearly the beginning of it. Let's watch this together.
Here it goes.
New Shepard has cleared the tower. Engine response looks good.
Now, okay, keep in mind, because Chad said $50 million for this garbage, I just want to point out that people buy $50 million homes. You know, if we're going to spend $50 million on something, kind of cool to send people to space. You know, as far as I know, this is privately paid by the celebrities and by the people involved, right? Like in another headspace, this would have been so cool. But in the headspace we're in now, it feels really weird. Beyonce's home in Malibu is over $200 million. Exactly. Like, I mean this in the nicest way. Like, I don't care that someone spent $50 million on this. I care that this is the focus. Like, that this is the focus right now in this era of life. Like, we need other focus, but this is the distraction, right? That's what this is.
Sonic, we have passed through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. That's when the vehicle, the stresses between the atmosphere and the speed are at the maximum. So to punch through that is so important. You see the BE3
Her head was so far back when her hand on her heart, terrified, watching it all happen, but also excited. Wow.
Those ladies right now
I think they're in 3G. I think they just said they're at maximum.
on their way to space.
Ed Levendare, if you're still with us and you can hear us under the roar of that, how much preparation did they have for this flight?
Not much. The crew showed up here in West Texas about 3 days ago, and they began the process of just kind of going through the safety briefings and understanding exactly what would happen inside the capsule and that sort of thing. So this is it kind of adds to when you hear Gayle King talk about how nervous she is. I think all that kind of lends itself to that feeling, because it doesn't like you think that to go up into outer space you'd need a little bit more training than that, but that's the way it is.
I will say I think the only good thing that came out of this story is Amanda Nguyen. Is that how you say it? Amanda is one of the women who got to go up in space, who was training to be an astronaut and was assaulted and halted her time at NASA, I believe, to become an advocate for assault victims. And she's one of the women on this shuttle. And so she got her chance to live out her dream when her assault put it on pause for her. So I think that's pretty powerful. So we have to remember, not everybody's just Katy Perry or Gayle. There are 2 women on the ship who worked really hard to be a part of this and couldn't go to space the traditional way.
So 62 miles or 100 kilometers is where the Air Force designates space. It's where we're out of our atmosphere. And so that if you get to that point, that's when you're considered an astronaut.
Well, you can hear the oh my gods, and you saw Oprah there. It looked like she was crying or pretty emotional.
Some people were upset calling them astronauts, but it's just like, it is like just an appropriate term, I think, for what they're doing. So I don't feel like, look, I'm not angry about this. Like, I'm not feeling the way some people feel, like really upset about this. I'm just like, okay, you know, I watched it live like yesterday. Was it happening yesterday? I watched it live whenever it happened. I'm not angry that this is happening. I'm more annoyed a little bit, but not angry. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so silly. But also it could be kind of cool at a different point. Like, it would be very cool at a different point in history. Like, it would have been really fun to watch this like 10 years ago. I would have been like eating this up. It's just right now, it's like I'm not in the mood. Kilmar's in prison. People are being taken from their visa appointments. People are being kidnapped off the streets. Like, I'm not amused right now.
It is a big promotional party, but this is a moment where you're having an all-female crew going up.
Exactly. Chad says, when rich people buy a mansion, they don't promote it as some empowering gift of enlightenment. You spend a ton of money to have a cool experience. Just let it be that. But I want to talk about how they did have a physiological experience, though. Just like taking drugs. That's why I say, like, enlightenment or introspection isn't just ego death. It isn't just having 11 minutes in space and realizing we're all ants on a planet. It's actually realizing that in an embodied way. That's the difference. That's why I want to talk about this, because these women came down from space and Katy Perry's like,
so much. How do you feel? I feel super connected to love.
It's not going to last more than that high. Once the high is done, they're not going to incorporate it into their life. That's what the framework of the levels is supposed to represent. Is like, I don't think you guys get it. Like, I'm saying it literally is a construct, and we don't have to do this in the way that you think it is, but actually you do, because you're having a biological experience. Though it's a construct, it also isn't just free will. We don't have free will the way you think we do. So the high that you have that makes you realize this isn't an embodied experience that they're going to remember once the high wears off, which is what happens to most celebrities when they do ayahuasca, most people when they meditate. Most people have it for when they're meditating and lose it the moment they're not doing it. That's why most people are a reflection of how the world is, because most people don't actually believe the things they say out loud. Like, oh, we shouldn't hurt people. Oh, we should be kind to people. Oh, we should be compassionate. Then the numbers would show different. The data would be different. Same thing Noah was saying, or FD Signifier was saying. You guys say you care about people, you want to hear about Palestine, you're upset the media isn't covering it, but you're not watching. The views aren't there. Again, if the views were there, people that's all they care about. They just care about your attention. And as much as people say they want to see it, it's not happening. It's not happening. My own channel is an example of that. You know how many requests my audience has made and I have fulfilled them and no one shows up? You know how many things I have done, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm totally happy not listening to anybody and just doing what I know works. But when I try to give into my audience and give them the content they say they want, they don't watch. They don't come to the events. They don't want it. They think they want it, but they don't show up. It's not their fault, because people are going to people. I'm not mad about it. I'm just saying it's true, and I need you to know it's true. I need you to know it's true if you want, so you can actually change the world. But you're not going to change the world if you keep thinking, that's not true. People do want these things. They don't want these things. The numbers show they don't want these things. FD Signifier explains it really well. Noah Samson said it himself. Like, the world doesn't want it. The world thinks they want it. They'll say, oh, I really want independent artists to get paid, but then get upset when anything's behind a paywall. Oh, I really want people to make a living in this country, but they get mad that people have OnlyFans and are making a living in this country. Oh, I really want freedom of bodily autonomy, and I don't want the government to tell me what to do until it comes to abortion. We think we know what we want, but we don't. The question is, do you as an individual, do you know what you want?
Back in their seats, you see the two.
Okay, so they're coming back down. That was fast.
Okay, so they were up in space for like 4 minutes, and now they're coming back down to Earth.
Exactly, by design. They're
They're coming back down. That's too fast for Sarah Sidon. Sarah Sidon would stay up there for a little bit.
To its landing spot, just 2 miles north where it's taken.
You're coming down when Blue Orange Jones been down, Sarah.
It's pretty cool to watch, though. It's pretty cool, and it must be amazing being in it.
Comes into land.
Here it
Shortly
goes.
thereafter, you will see the drag brakes that
So the
decay
rocket's
will keep
coming
the
back
speed
first,
of
and
the
then the
rocket
capsule comes back.
in half, and then in the
This is
last
the rocket.
moment,
And there it is. We can see it from the stage.
there comes it, the rocket down. It's going to relight its engine. We also see a sonic boom. We're going to hear that shortly here.
And remember, this is something that had never been done before until just a few years ago. Truly the stuff of science fiction that you're about to watch in just seconds.
There's that sonic boom.
There we go.
Not for nothing. I think that's really cool.
I
that thing
agree.
lands right back down on its launch
Here on Earth, that's the coolest part. Yeah.
And that's the rocket, correct? We're going to see the capsule in a second.
They come down with parachute.
Let's hope. And so they.
Touchdown, welcome home.
Okay, so that's not them. This is them. This is them in this capsule, and they're floating
G's in your
down.
body. So they're feeling 5 Gs now before these parachutes come out.
So that's them falling from the sky. It's going to take a while. Da, da, da. I'm going to forward it a little bit. I'm getting a warning sign that they want to take down my stream. Here's Jeff.
Okay, let's listen in now. There's Jeff Bezos opening the capsule.
Okay, there's Lauren. That's his girl.
Go see your baby.
Where are my babies?
Go over here. Go see them.
Where? I have to go
Right
there.
there.
Okay.
Okay, there's Katy Perry holding up a daisy because her daughter's name is Daisy.
Katie.
Thank you.
Now, don't get me wrong. If I could do this, I would definitely do it. But also, I wouldn't do it because I'm claustrophobic and I wouldn't be able to handle it. But I know it was good. I know that high was fucking good. As an adrenaline junkie, as a person, well, former adrenaline junkie, as a person who has like done a lot of crazy shit, like that is one of those things where I'm like, I would love to do that, but I'm too much. I'm a claustrophobe. I can't do it. I cannot sit in that little thing. No way. But you know, the high was good. You know, the high was really, really good. When I tell you the high from adrenaline, that's why you don't need drugs, because the drugs are in your body, girl. But like, I love drugs too, but you don't even need the drugs. You just need enough adrenaline and you will feel high. Like, there's a reason they're going to be crying. There's a reason there's like an emotional moment, because you really do feel so small on the planet when you do things that make you face your own mortality. And that's really what these girls went through. I don't need to take that away from them. Right? What they went through was life-changing. The dilemma is that lots of people are going through life-changing experiences that aren't making them, you know, that aren't leaving them in a position of, I don't know, joy, but instead leaving them in a position of disabled and traumatized and PTSD. So again, this feels very strange. You know what I mean? It just feels very like out of touch. Like, the world is literally suffering. People can't afford eggs, but sure, let's send women up to space, I guess. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's nice to see, but also like, very out of touch, my bros.
Thank you.
That's her. This is Amanda, who was assaulted, and then her dreams of going into space were crushed, and then now she gets to finally live that dream. To be honest with you, Chad says, I'm so happy for her. I wish the media would focus more on the women who wanted to go for years. To be honest with you, they did focus on Amanda a lot, but I was mostly interested in Gail going because she was so terrified of flying. That's who I was most interested in, which puts me as part of the problem. That I wasn't interested in the women who wanted to go the longest. I was mostly interested in the woman who didn't want to go, the woman who doesn't even have her ears pierced. She's so afraid of pain. That's why all of the headlines for this story were Gail and Katy Perry, because they were the most famous people that could be referenced for this story. And Gail is the one who got me to watch.
I just have to have a moment with the ground. Let me just appreciate the ground for just a second. Thank you, Jesus. Oh my God. That was amazing. That was amazing.
I'm so proud. So proud of you.
Oh my God.
No, you're not the crier of the group.
Healer of the group.
No, you are not.
I'm crier.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love.
She's high. She's high. This is a high woman, and I get it. She's high. She feels like everything she's saying is deeply profound right now because she's high as. And I don't blame her. She's having a real biological experience. She thinks she found the answers, but girl.
Thank you so much.
How do you feel?
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
Yeah, it was rough, buddy. That's rough, buddy. You know, as Zuko would say, it was rough, you know? But like, this is the phenomenon. This is what I'm trying to explain is the difference. When twos have this moment, they think they're fives. This is what I'm trying to explain the levels. So many twos think they're fives because they have these moments, but it doesn't last. It wears off. If it wears off, it can't wear off, but also it doesn't sound like this. This is her ego speaking. This is her feeling like, oh my God, I am the vessel and the communicator for something, blah, blah, blah. All philosophers, religious people, Jesus himself said love was the answer, love was the cure. But she doesn't really get it. She's not getting what that means. but she feels like she is because she's having a real physical phenomenon happen. Like for real, the feeling she has is insane. It's kind of what people chase when they do drugs. Except, like I said, you don't need drugs to chase this feeling. You can do it on your own. You know, it's just faster with drugs.
We had these incredible shots of Daisy watching you as the rocket, it'll make me cry, as the rocket's going up, and she was so proud. Just kept saying, mommy, mommy. And I know you'll feel the same way when you watch it. And you brought a real life Daisy up.
That's
it was
right.
important for you, not only because it's your daughter's name, but why else was that important?
And they get really emotional, and everyone like cried at some point because your body is coming down from that crash. If you've ever gone skydiving, ever done BDSM, ever done anything that's thrill seeking and the adrenaline is up, sometimes when the adrenaline crashes, you end up like crying and it ends up coming out and it ends up like, and like that's very normal. But that's why I say like, oh, pay attention to the details, right?
Important to bring it.
Daisies are common flowers, but they grow through any condition. They grow through.
That sub drop, baby. Chat, so right. That's hey, that top drop sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Yes, or general drop. It is exactly that. It's that drop.
Immense. They go through cracks. They go through walls. They are resilient. They are powerful. They are strong. They are everywhere. Flowers are, to me, God's smile, but it's also a reminder of our beautiful earth and the flowers here and God's smile and the beautiful magic that is everywhere, all around us, and even in a simple daisy. So to really appreciate it and remember it and take care of it and protect it.
Gail shared with us the song that you sang when you got up there. What a wonderful world. Why was
Singing What a Wonderful World while in space is so when COVID lockdown happened and it's like, imagine all the people. Only it's what a wonderful world. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if that was on recording, which it probably is, because I know there was footage from inside I saw. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see her singing the song, but it was definitely like, you just know it was one of those moments where she's like, this is going to do numbers.
was that important to sing that particular song?
I've covered that song in the past, and
And by the way, this is why some autistic people hate the script, because this feels so performative. But people like Cory Booker going on for 25 hours, that performance gets people. And I don't blame you, by the way. This is someone's Cory Booker. And Cory Booker was also just doing bullshit for 25 hours anyways. But the point is like, okay, like, I get it. It's something. It's interesting. But also, it's all just a performance. And like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't blame people for loving. I love a good performance. I just like, you have to pick and choose. Like, autistic people are just as guilty, right? It's not like we're so ascended because we're autistic. It's just that like the scripts are so much worse for us, I think. I think it hurts us harder. Like, I hated the scripts growing up. I could be like, why are you doing this? It's obviously so performative. But then I fell for my own scripts all the time. I would see a script and think it was real and then be like, oh my God, it's fake. You know what I mean? This is this is what people want. Again, this is what people want. That's why people don't like Chappell Roan, because they don't like her script that she's chosen, but people don't like it. They want her to be happy all the time that she's famous. They want her to be grateful. They want her to be, and look, it's, again, I don't point this out to say humans are bad. I point this out to say this is what humans are. And we're not exempt from that. If they just came down from space and they're like, hey guys, what's up? I don't want to talk about it. And all of them were just in their moment and they did aftercare and nobody heard from them and there weren't any interviews, we'd be like, what the fuck was that? We want them to come down from space and feel like, oh my God, we want to see them cry. We want to see the way that it feels. Like, we want to see it, right? We want to see it. We want to see people at least feel grateful to be in the position to try it, because so many of us would want to be there. Right? Even if we don't think we would want to be there, there's some aspect of it. I get it, even as a small YouTuber, even as a small YouTuber. People are always like, wow, Brittany, you're so privileged. I wish I could do that. You can, girl. You could do it the same way I tried to do it. And by the way, I'm still such a small YouTuber that people are like, why is she still a YouTuber? So you're like jealous about somebody who other people look at and don't know why she still YouTubes, except that I know I can make a whole living doing this. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not even one of the famous people. I'm not Chappell Roan, where people are like, be grateful you're famous and rich. I'm just an average ass, making average ass money YouTuber, which I'm grateful for, by the way. But like, I'm just saying, you can be angry, but you could do it too. You could replace that minimum wage job you have and be a content creator. But there's just no guarantee about tomorrow, right? So like, most people stay at their jobs. I obviously had to take a risk. Like, there is a risk factor in life. And most people are not risk takers, which also plays into why people exploit people, because they know you're not going to take the risk. We know, like they know you're still going to pay for Amazon rather than go out and get your groceries because it's just more convenient. They know, that you're disabled enough, you're reliant on these services, so they're going to take advantage of you. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying people work every day to figure out ways to exploit you. Do you know what I mean? Like people literally work in offices on ways to exploit people to convince them to spend their last dollar in a video game. That is somebody's whole ass job. That is somebody's whole ass job.
Obviously, like my higher self is always steering the ship because I had no clue that one day I would decide to sing a little bit of that in space. But I think that it's not about me. It's not about singing my songs. It's about a collective energy in there. It's about us. It's about making space for future women and taking up space and belonging. And it's about this wonderful world that we see right out there and appreciating it.
Before I let you get back to your family, I just have to ask you, describe for us, because you're so brilliant at putting, words together and describing moments that we can all appreciate later. How would you describe the moment when you took off and then the moment you landed?
The moment, it is the highest high, and it is surrender to the unknown, trust, and this whole journey is not just about going to space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is like up.
We're going to watch that one more time.
I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is like up there with all the, different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because...
See, the Hoffman process and meditation, all bullshit created for rich people to spend their money so they can pretend they're enlightened. I just cannot recommend going to space more. It is just such a thrill. Girls, I really think you should go to space. If you have a chance this weekend after Walmart, feeding the kids and paying your electricity bill, definitely, sign up for Jeff Bezos' trip to space. Katie, what? Who is she talking to? She's probably talking to Beyonce and Taylor Swift. And, she's talking to celebrities. She's like, oh my God, girls, you have to try this.
What you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey. And then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure. And you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
By the way, you're such a badass. I love that the month of April, you're like...
That was as profound as her music video when she came back recently.
I'm going to space and I'm launching my tour. It's really incredible. Now I know I'm asking this question for your fans. Will you write a song about this experience?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
I'm in outer space. Ba-na-na-na-na-na-na. She already wrote a song.
And not only that.
Wait, is that right? That's her song? Yeah.
I got to reveal my set list for the tour on a Butterfly.
Woo! Katy Perry's going on tour. Very important stuff right now, girls.
How apropos.
Incredible.
Just flying in space. I don't know if anyone's ever done that before, so I'll just...
There's a lot of things that you have done first. You are now officially an astronaut, and let me just tell you, on behalf of everyone here at Blue Origin, our webcast, and all of these individuals that put this incredible thing on, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
It's a 10 out of 10. That's my review.
10 out of 10.
You definitely go for it. 10 out of 10.
I am so...
Floating. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
I'm so proud of you. And I know that I speak for the collective, because you have been so honest. You've been so vulnerable. And I spoke to your best friend prior to you taking off, and I asked her why it was so important for you to do this. And she said, she said, so she didn't have to hear you say, I wish I would have done that.
So true.
But now, Gayle King, you are officially an astronaut. How do you feel?
I still can't accept that word, but I will say I can't even believe what I saw. When somebody calls this a ride, this was not a ride. What happened to us was not a ride. This was a bona fide freaking flight. And our instructor, we were so well prepared. So every noise we heard, we knew. But the flight instructor said that I am her best success story. Why? Because she's never had somebody go through the course who's terrified of flying. Everybody who's gone through the course is somebody it's been a lifelong dream. They wanted to do it. So she said, I'm her best success story. I'm so proud of me right now. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe it.
I was just going to say, prior to the launch, you said that you would be so proud of yourself if you went through with this. And you did. What was the best part, Gayle?
It's oddly quiet when you get up there. It's really quiet and peaceful. And you look down at the planet and you think, that's where we came from? And to me, it's such a reminder about how we need to do better, be better. Do better, be better human beings.
And what do you mean by that?
Processing. Well, it's so nasty and so vitriolic nowadays. And I mean, if everybody could experience that peace that we had up there and the kindness and what it takes to do what we did, all the people that it took to get us up there and get us back safely, I'll never, ever, ever forget.
Okay, so this is Lauren Sanchez. This is Jeff Bezos' girl.
I don't really have words for it.
Oh my God, Lauren, I want to cry just seeing you.
I'm so proud of this crew. Like, I mean, Gail, you know, we were just talking in the capsule, doesn't even have ear piercings. She's so afraid to do anything. And she got in that capsule, and I think, like, it profoundly changed her. I mean, for me, I can't put it into words, but, like, I looked out the window, and we got to see the moon.
And it was pink. Was it pink?
The full moon. It wasn't pink, but it was almost full. And Earth looked so, it was so quiet. It was just quiet. And
is it what you expected?
No.
Better?
Oh, yeah. I don't think you can describe it. Because, you know what I was saying? It was like quiet, but then also really alive. And you look at it and you're like, we're all in this together. Like, that's all I could think about is like, we're so connected, more connected than you realize, because you just see right here, you see, like, you know, states and all these things that like divide us, but we're not. And
what is your emotion? What makes you emotional?
Joy. Complete and utter joy and gratefulness. Like, it makes me want to come back and just hug everyone and be like, oh my God, we're in this together. Like, that's what this is. And
Jeff had told you that it will change you more than you know. And I know you're only.
So I think like they are having this experience, right? I think it is real for them. I don't think it's going to pop their bubble though. And the question is, did they pop a bubble? Probably not. And that's the thing that I find fascinating about people is like, are they going to come down and pop a bubble and realize that they are directly participating in like an amount of harm that they don't need to participate in? Remember the story about Katy Perry basically buying a place from a bunch of nuns because she really wanted it, but it would like make the nuns homeless basically. But the district, the LA diocese was so desperate for money, they were going to sell these nuns' home, and Katy Perry really wanted it. Do you guys know that story? So like, you know, I feel like Katy Perry should have bought the house and funded the nuns, or funded, you know, figured it out, or like not bought the house, even though the nuns were like, hey, like, we're going to be homeless if you keep trying to buy this house. And Katie's like, yeah, I want the house though. And the diocese, because they had to pay out for the sex abuse crimes, wanted to sell it because they needed the $15 million to pay out the $600 million settlement fee for the victims. Right? And so it's just kind of crazy. But I think what's important is to realize like this is not just them. I look at most people this way. I think most people are this way. I think I used to be this way. I think most people are this way. I think 99% of the population is doing this. I think they are having moments of what they think is profound, whether it's God or shrooms or their life, and they think they figured it out. They think everyone else is the problem but them. And I think most people are like this. I've been this person. I'm going to continue to fight my whole life not to become this person again, and to remember that I'm just like a person on a planet and I'm doing the best I can. And so without making a prescription, I want us to use this as an opportunity to remember, like, you're not different from these people. We're not. We might think we are, and we might try to give ourselves the credit of being different. We are different in some literal ways. So if you're autistic, you're quite literal. We are obviously different in literal ways. We're literally different people, literally different races, literally different genders. We're literally in different locations. We literally have different amounts of money, but we are not different from them in terms of our biological experience. If you were born into this bubble, you would be their kids waiting on a sideline watching your moms go to space. Or you would be the kids who are friends with their kids. Or you would be the people you would be Katy Perry. You know what I mean? So like, I'm saying use this as an opportunity to make yourself calm when the world is chaotic, and to remember that it's okay to be sad. And it's also okay to realize like they're just people on a journey. And I would love for this to be a bubble pop. I would love for them to come down and for her to go, Jeff, I love you. I think we're really hurting the planet. We should do better. And for Jeff to have a bubble pop, but he's not gonna. In the same way she was happy to help him cheat on his marriage. And the same way that like she's happy to date a billionaire who's literally killing the planet. And the same way that Jeff is just thinking, I'm going to win the game while I'm here. We think they're different from us because their life is so foreign to us. But I know human to human, their life isn't much different. That most people would go up in that spaceship and come down and say the same thing they're saying.
Only a few minutes removed from the capsule, but I can tell already. Yeah. Oh.
expect to be this I did. I'm like I don't cry that often. So I didn't expect to be this emotional, but it's also all the love that was in that capsule and all the heart and the feelings and all the things, and like seeing Jeff before I left, I just went I had to come back. I mean, we're getting married. If I didn't come back, that would be a bummer for me.
Only you, by the way, would say this to me. You said, Jeff, if you don't want to marry me, you don't have to send me to space.
Don't have to send me to space.
What an incredible experience for you. But the fact that when you're in there, we got to hear some of your audio, but give us some of those moments when you guys, just from the second you took off to the second you landed, describe if you can for us what we didn't get to hear.
It was a feeling of joy and camaraderie. It was a feeling of gratefulness. It was a feeling that we're doing this. And, Alan Shepard, I told you about this, did the same exact flight. And he became the first American in space. And 6 women just did the same flight that he did.
Oh, I just want to keep hugging you.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I hope that more people get to see this because I feel I don't even know how much it's going to change me. And I want to thank the Blue team. I mean,
maybe not at all. Maybe something. You know what I'm saying? Like she says, I don't know how much this is going to change me. I don't know either. Maybe nothing. Maybe something profound. Maybe nothing at all. But that's the question. I know she is feeling that crazy euphoric feeling. She is feeling a temporary crazy or euphoric feeling. When I say I'm joyful all the time, but I'm not always happy, I'm always joyful, but I'm not always happy. I always feel like I'm connected to everything and everyone and that I'm just a part of the universe. But also sometimes I'm just like, girl, these men be stressing me out. These men be kidnapping people out of IKEA parking lots. I'm stressed. But it is a real high that they're feeling. It is a real sense of joy that they're feeling. It's just probably temporary.
Look at them. I mean, they work so hard to make sure this vehicle gets up and safe. And
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. It's one thing to say you're going to do it. It's another thing to actually do it. And I know there's a phrase in your family that life takes off on the other side of fear. And here you are, just having landed back on Earth. And now you are officially, Lauren Sanchez, already adding to your extensive resume. You are an astronaut. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats, girl. Good for you, I guess. Chad says, do you think it's possible to be a 1% rich person and become enlightened? I think it's always possible for everyone to do a lot of things. Yeah, of course. Every person on the planet, give or take a few very specific biological brain damage situations or people in comas, have a chance of being enlightened or whatever you want to use. The word enlightened is a construct, right? It's made up. We made it up. Human beings made up a word to describe a phenomenon we experience. It's not a real thing outside of our constructs in a sense, but it's a real experience people have. So yeah, that thing we call enlightenment, whatever that means, sure, everyone could do it. Is it higher probability or less probability? Sure. I think it's just the same amount of probability for somebody in poverty to be enlightened is the same probability as somebody who's really mega rich. They're both too trapped in that bubble of survival to tempt, because in order to be enlightened, you have to let go of everything. Like in order to do it, you have to be willing to lose everything. Everything you've built, everything you're afraid of losing, you have to be willing to lose everything in order to get to that next step. And if you're in poverty and survival mode, you might think you have nothing left to lose, but most people in that situation don't end up becoming enlightened in the same way that a rich person isn't willing to do it because it's too scary to move outside those bubbles. You're in the extremes. Most people aren't living in poverty. Most people have $0 in their bank accounts, live paycheck to paycheck. We're not in poverty, right? Like we have to remember that poverty is not poor. It's not just lower middle class. It's not just like I don't have money. Most people don't have money at the end of the month. But when you live in poverty, you are dealing with very limited tools. And when you're rich, you're dealing with very limited tools that it almost makes no sense to leave that bubble. You know what I mean? Chat says, what do you mean you have to lose everything? Your attachment to everything you've built, your connections, your relationships. Like you have to be willing to let go of the idea that like, oh, I want to take this into the think of the Egyptians who are buried with all of their wives and their goods and their riches. They want to take into the afterlife. Girl, please. Okay, relax. All these people that are afraid to lose the job they've created or the housing they've acquired for themselves or the status they've created. Like, what does any of that matter? Enlightenment is hopefully a relationship with the macro, not just the micro. The micro allows you to be attached to the housing you created. The macro makes you realize housing is a construct. It's a necessary construct in the micro in terms of society. It's a necessary construct. but it's not a construct that's necessary to feel like your whole identity is in. It's like there are people who lose like their houses and everything they've built, and that is a devastating experience, but like you are not your house. And a lot of people know that. But now you have to realize like you are not anything. You are not your body, you are not your gender, you are not you. And that's the problem, is like people can't even fathom existing in a world where like they are not them. But this is why enlightenment is just like a niche community effort. Only certain people on the planet have a biological imperative that moves them in the direction to seek out that bubble of enlightenment. And most people don't get there because most people do the Katy Perry thing where they hire celebrity gurus, they have, ice baths, and they think they did it. It's not about that. It's not about your ice baths, girl. It says, how are your tools limited as a rich person? So one, they're very sheltered. Some of them are not sheltered, but most of them are going to be sheltered people who are forced into particular jobs, who are forced into specific careers, who have to play these political games with their parents, have to be married off, arranged marriages, threats to your life. They just can't go out and be whoever they want to be. They also don't have the access to even know what it's like to be a regular person, right? They don't even know what it's like to be a regular person. They'll never really know that. They think they know it, but they don't know it, right? So they're limited by this bubble perception, and they would have to understand like there's so much more to life than the life they're experiencing, but the life they're experiencing is everybody else's perceived dream because everyone thinks they want it. And the truth is what they want is the access of what they think is freedom. But the reason I know it's a detriment to be rich is because I know rich people aren't rich for free. It doesn't come free. Like being in a wealthy family comes with a lot of strings attached. A lot of trauma, a lot of really bad things, right? So I think for me, I look at it and it's different. Now, it's different if you're like self-made, you come into money later in life. That's like a different experience. But being born wealthy, being born rich, you're going to have very specific expectations. Now, some of them might go off and be rebellious, and that's different, but you're still limited by your perception, right? And this is a huge generalization, right? But you're still going to be limited by somewhat of your perception. Because it's just like, how could you even think about leaving the bubble that everyone claims they want to be a part of? And then the moment a rich person starts to denounce their status, most people hate them and don't believe them anyways. And that's the other thing. Now, I just want to make it clear, when I say you have to lose everything to understand or be willing to lose everything, I don't mean you literally burn the house on fire. I don't mean when we say you have to suffer to gain wisdom, I don't mean like cut off your arm. There's no wisdom in cutting off your arm. There's no wisdom in throwing everything away. There might be wisdom, though, in pursuing something that in the heart of pursuing it might mean that you have to sacrifice something else, or that it might feel like you're giving up everything. Sometimes standing up and doing what's right means never talking to your family again, right? It means maybe doing things that you couldn't imagine you'd have to do, but you'd have to be willing to do it. How many people don't live the life they want to live because they want their parents to approve of them, approve of the school they go to and the people they date? I mean, how many people won't even pursue the people they love because it doesn't look good in the family? Maybe you can think about racism as a really good example, or homophobia. Like, how many people don't even engage, right, in relationships that they want because they don't want to lose their family? To be the real you, to be the joyful you, to be liberated as a person on earth, you have to pursue your joy, not out of fear, but out of like symbiosis with the self, right? Like, I think that's the point. And I don't think many people know that, because too many people are running and too pressured and people pleasing, and they're too anxious, and they don't know how to live in a world where they don't constantly feel like they have to play a role. It's not just for autistic people. Neurotypical, allistic people feel like they're playing into scripts as much as anybody else. They're just doing it differently. Chad says, Brittany, do you think autistic people have a better chances at enlightenment? No. Neurotypical, allistic, autistic people all have the same probability. It's not the autism or non-autism that makes you enlightened. It's a script you were born into. If you're Black, you are not more likely to be enlightened just because you're the minority. If you're gay, you are not more likely to be enlightened because you're the minority. If you're a woman, if you're trans, if you're anything else, the illusion of the minorities to assume that they would be more enlightened because they're not the majority, then prove it with your actions, girls. Because I'm not seeing it. If that was true, Latinos wouldn't have voted for Trump. If that was true, women wouldn't have voted for Trump. Prove it with your actions then, because the data doesn't show it. The numbers don't show it. What there is, though, is the probability of being the right amount of minority with the right amount of education and the right amount of curiosity makes the probability of enlightenment more. Because you have to be interested enough to break the mold, interested enough to seek out the curiosity of why you deviate, and interested enough to seek out this curious thing that the majority of people aren't doing. Chad says, what do you mean by enlightenment? Enlightenment is a construct created by humans to explain a phenomenon that happens to a certain limited part of the population, which is a deeper understanding of the wider understanding of existence. Enlightenment is different in every bubble, but the way I think of enlightenment is to detach and understand your place in the universe away from the construct of the ego, right? So zoomed out into the macro. The micro is your daily life, bills, relationships, struggle, war, famine. That's the micro. The macro is to zoom out into the universe and to realize like you are a part of the universe. Like you're not separate from nature. You are not you separate from this thing, but to understand it in a truly embodied way. To understand it in such a way that you fundamentally will change as a person and be a fundamentally different person. That you will have an experience that is unlike any other part of humanity. That yes, when we talk on the micro, we can all sit here and be like, the patriarchy. But also when we're thinking about in the macro, we know like the patriarchy is just a part of nature. Everything we experience is a part of nature. And we are only nature facing itself. That's what it is, right? Enlightenment is deconstruction. Exactly. Enlightenment is deconstruction, or deconstruction is the pathway to enlightenment. But enlightenment is just the first step into the next step anyways. Enlightenment is just a construct created by humans to explain a certain level of deconstruction. Because 2s deconstruct as much as 5s. Well, not as much. That's kind of the point. They deconstruct all the same. It's just not to the same extent. They usually stop at a certain point. Oh, I've deconstructed racism. Cool. Okay, great. Keep going. Deconstruct race. Now deconstruct gender. Now deconstruct the self. Deconstructing the self, and do that until you exist no more, right? You'll hear that in a lot of philosophy bubbles. You'll hear that in a lot of enlightenment bubbles. Like there is no you. And you'll also hear that we are each other. We're all just each other, and there is no each other. There is no you. And these are all points of deconstruction, right? They're all points of perception and bubble.